Hey guys, happy holidays and happy new year to everyone. It's the end of a year and the start of a new one, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to do a little recap on 2021 and also look forward to 2022 and set a couple of short-term goals that I wanted to establish. So first for the recap, I started my channel actually at the end of 2020 with one singular goal, which was to win one ATP point. Now, back then as much as right now, I'm very well aware that that's an extremely difficult goal. In my opinion, right on the cusp of possibility. Some people think it's impossible, that's fine. And honestly, it might just be, but that's exactly where I wanted it to be. I want to go for as much as I possibly can go for. If I make it, great. If I don't, that's too bad, and we'll see how far I can get. So the goal is staying as is. I'm very happy with it, although the constraints that I had placed initially are outlandishly crazy and very misinformed. The constraints that I said was a 1-year deadline and a $1,000 budget. Now, looking back, obviously that's absolutely crazy. I think I fell in love with the symmetry of one ATP point, 1 year, $1,000. And I didn't really think about the fact that I was giving myself crazy constraints. So I think the constraints were misinformed, although I did have good reasons to placing the constraints in the first place. It wasn't just for the symmetry's sake. Initially, I wanted a timeline, I wanted a deadline to kind of anchor the goal in time. I wanted to give a little bit of urgency to the goal. I wanted to make sure that I was conveying the notion that this was going to be a priority, that I was going to do everything I could to be able to accomplish this goal as soon as possible. And for the budget, I imagine that there's two very different approaches to be able to accomplish this goal. One, kind of put everything you can into it, live and breathe tennis and go to one of these tennis academies and spend a lot of money and just 24/7 tennis, which honestly, if I had the budget for it, that would sound very appealing, and I might have gone that way, but I don't. Honestly, that would have been very, very fun to watch, and if anyone does do that, I will watch the hell out of that. But alas, I chose the modest approach, which is something that I was attracted to as well because it's kind of the average tennis player path. It's something that most people could do if they wanted to go for a crazy goal like this, and it's also the approach that's within my means. So that's the approach that we decided to take. For the recap of 2021, it was a pretty crazy year. My daughter was born in the beginning of the year, in the beginning of January, and I also tested positive for COVID, which took me out of commission for a solid month. So the year was pretty crazy, but that being said, I think I did make great improvements. I think I improved my technique most of all, which is something that I chose to focus on for the majority of the year. I never had any tennis lessons or any formal coaching, so I think my technique was absolutely horrendous, and it was something that needed to be corrected. So that's the thing that I chose to focus on the most. I think that I have improved drastically. Obviously, there is mountains of improvement left to be made, but I'm very happy with the progress that I did make. Yes, large improvements in terms of technique. There are a couple of things that I wish I would have done better, but I think a good amount of improvement in 2021. Now, looking forward to 2022, I have three main kind of short-term goals that I want to focus on this year. The first one is going to stay the same as the 2021. I have to improve my technique a little bit more. Again, I like the progress that I made in 2021, but there's a lot of improvement left to be made, particularly in certain strokes, my volleys, my serves, my backhands, basically everything. I'm kind of happy where my forehand is, but everything else still needs more refining, more perfecting. So that's going to be number one. I don't want to focus too much on technique and forego the other things. So it's one among three. There isn't really a priority system, it's just one. So technique, number one. Number two is get in better shape. Unfortunately, I do have a fair amount of excess fat that I wish I could say I picked up in the holidays, but I had it from before. So I need to get in better shape. And actually, number two carries with it two subparts. So the way that I'm going to try to get in better shape is going to be one, do more aerobic and anaerobic exercises. And I'm going to put an emphasis on regularity for that one. Not necessarily increase the intensity of the exercises, but just make sure that I'm doing them regularly. So that's going to be a key factor. And the second subpart is a fun part because it's something that I've never done before in my life, is go on a diet. I've always been kind of an athletic person, and I I've never really been overweight, nor have I ever tried to achieve something that required my peak performance. So I've never really felt the need to go on a diet until now. Of course, I'm trying to do something that I think would require my peak performance, so I shall go on a diet. Fortunately, my beautiful wife is a food scientist, and she's going to help me with it, because otherwise I would have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with it. So yes, diet, second sub part. And three, and the final one, is something that I'm also ashamed to say that I've never done before in my life, and I think is key for everyone to work on, really, not just people that are trying to do play tennis or do crazy things, is work on my flexibility. To say that I'm not flexible is quite an understatement, unfortunately. I am very much not flexible, and I've never worked on my flexibility, so I know that it's going to improve my tennis game because I'm not flexible at all right now, and any sort of flexibility will improve it, though I think it's going to pay dividends for the rest of my life. It's something that I'm never going to regret having done it, so I'm very keen on this one. It's going to be difficult because it's not something that I'm looking forward to, but my wife has said that she will do them with me, so that will help keep me honest. And yes, so those are my three goals for 2022. Now, it's very important for me to kind of get those short-term goals out there. This YouTube channel has obviously been something that I enjoy doing very much. I love playing tennis, I love shooting videos, and I love looking back at the progress that I've been making. It's something that I think it's going to be better and better with the years. But the last point that I really think is an amazing part of the YouTube channel is that accountability that you get. You know, it's easy to come up with a goal in your head and say, I'm going to try to do this for this year. But then if you don't tell anyone, you're kind of keeping yourself accountable. You need an extreme amount of resolve to be able to kind of maintain that and just hold yourself accountable for it. I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't have that, and it provides a certain amount of accountability of just letting the world know that these are the goals that I'm going to try to achieve. So right now, next video, I'm going to be doing baselines of exactly where I am. I have a scale that measures your body fat percentage, your muscle mass, like absolutely everything, your BMI. So I'll weigh myself on that scale. We'll show the figures of where they are right now, which are not going to be good, but we'll show them of where they are right now on this date, and we'll do also like measurements of like everything, and we'll also do a baseline of my flexibility, which, just imagine the least flexible person you know, and that's probably where I'm at. But we'll do some baselines, and then of course at the end of the year or at the very beginning of next year, we'll do them again and see how much improvement I actually did make. So I really appreciate that kind of accountability, and it's thanks to you guys watching that can work. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you guys again very soon. I'm very excited for this year.